In the wetlands of East Asia, the fire-bellied toad, or Bombina orientalis, looks entirely harmless. They rarely exceed 2 inches in length, and they spend most of their time waddling awkwardly through damp leaf litter and moss. But when a predator approaches, the toad suddenly arches its back and flips its feet, exposing a blindingly bright red and black underbelly. This pattern is a clear signal of aposematicism. It is the same visual shorthand nature uses for wasps and coral snakes, a high-contrast warning that the animal is toxic and should not be eaten. To back up this warning, the toad's skin is covered in specialized glands that secrete a milky, irritating toxin whenever the animal feels threatened or under stress. These built-in chemical weapons make them hardy in the wild, but in a captive environment, their survival is dictated by a much more vulnerable side of their biology, one that relies on a very narrow set of physical and environmental rules. Keeping a fire-bellied toad healthy starts with the physical layout of their enclosure, which must be strictly divided into 2 distinct zones. While they are semi-aquatic, they are surprisingly poor swimmers compared to true frogs. They lack the powerful leg muscles needed for deep-water endurance and can tire out in just a few minutes. A standard 10-gallon tank should be arranged with a perfect 50-50 split, half land and half water. The water depth is kept to a shallow 2 or 3 inches, with a gentle slope allowing the toad to walk directly out of the water without struggling. This layout functions as a physical fail-safe. It ensures the toad is never more than a few inches away from solid ground, preventing an animal with limited swimming stamina from drowning in its own habitat. Beyond the layout, a common assumption is that exotic amphibians require a sweltering, steamy swamp environment to stay active. Fire-bellied toads actually have the opposite requirement. They thrive in temperate conditions and become physically distressed if their environment gets too warm. The thermal window requires a daytime range between 70 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit, dropping at night to 68. If high-wattage heat lamps push the temperature past 82 degrees, the toad's metabolism begins to fail, leading to fatal heat shock. Maintaining these toads is often an exercise in restraint. Keeping them cool and allowing for natural temperature fluctuations is what keeps their biological system stable. This sensitivity to the environment is driven by the toad's most vulnerable feature, its highly permeable skin. Amphibians don't drink in the traditional sense. They absorb nearly everything, including moisture and trace oxygen, directly through the pores in their skin. This absorption works both ways. If the water becomes dirty or stagnant, the toad absorbs its own waste products. This triggers a stress response that causes the toad to release its own toxins into the water, effectively poisoning its own environment. Because of these secretions, handling should be kept to a minimum. If the toxins reach your eyes or mucous membranes, the effect is immediate and painful, often compared to the sting of jalapeno juice. You can support their health and their bright warning colors by providing a diet of live, gut-loaded insects. Dusting crickets or worms with a calcium supplement twice a week ensures they have the nutrients to maintain their internal systems. The fire-bellied toad is essentially a living sponge. The purity of its external surroundings directly dictates its internal health and the safety of anyone handling it. When the temperature, water quality, and land-to-water ratios are all in balance, the result is an incredibly active and visually striking pet. A healthy toad will spend its day hunting, interacting with its environment, and even making a distinct chirping sound. With the right care, they can maintain this activity for up to 15 years. Keeping a fire-bellied toad is less about simply owning an animal and more about the process of mastering a closed microecosystem. To find the specific gear needed to build this environment, from the right 10-gallon tanks to specialized UVB lighting and water pumps, visit the Krawlo blog and check out our